Hello, Julie here and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing with you a layout I created with photos that were taken, well, one photo actually, that was taken on a cruise that I went on with some of my family members in 2006. Some of the products that I'll be using from my Craft Supplies for You design team kit for August are this My Mind's Eye paper pad 6-inch called Sunshine. I'll be using a piece of chipboard, some lace, and I'll also be using a few other bits and bobs from my stash. I'm going to start by giving my chipboard a good coat of white acrylic paint so that when I decide what colour I want to paint it, whatever colour I choose, it will be an accurate colour. It won't be changed by the colour of the natural colour of the chipboard. Because I'm using a 6x6 paper pad and my layout is 12 inches, I'm going to have to join my papers in the middle. So I've cut the print paper so that it's 2.5 inches wide. I've cut 2 pieces of that, and the green I've cut 4 inches wide. And you can see that I'm going to join them in the middle. I then chose another pattern paper, the yellow spot, and I've just trimmed the branding strip off the top of that, and I'm leaving that at 6 inches square. You can see here how I'm going to use that piece of cardstock to disguise the join in the green cardstock and also part of the text one. Time now to work on my photo. My photo is 7x5, so I'm going to cut a white mat for it that is 7 1/8 by 5 1/8. And then I'm going to cut a navy blue mat for it that is 7 1/4 by 5 1/4. You can tell by those measurements that I'm only going to have a very fine mat all the way around the photo in each of those colours. Now that I have my mats cut to size, I'm going to ink around the edges of each of them. I'm going to attach the white layer to the blue layer using glue, and then I'm going to attach my photo to the assembled mat using double-sided tape. I use double-sided tape because I'm not sure how the liquid glue would affect the photo. I wanted to use some of the cream lace that you can see there, but you couldn't really see it on the layout, so I chose a piece of navy cardstock and cut a strip of that that's 1 1/4 inches by 12 inches, and I'm going to use that to help my lace stand out from the background. Now I'm going to take a strip of that beautiful creamy coloured lace that's got the zigzag edge on it. I'm going to cut that to 12 inches so it fits nicely onto my blue cardstock. Then I'm going to use my art glitter glue to attach the lace to the blue piece so that the blue piece still has about 1/4 inch of uncovered edge. I use my black Craft ink cube to ink the blue cardstock, and while I've got that going, I also ink 3 edges, three edges of the pattern paper, the light one. I don't ink the edge that is going to be butting up in the middle because I don't want to draw attention to that edge. You will be able to see part of that, so the least I do to draw attention to it, the better. So I'm going to ink the edges of this, then I'm going to use double-sided tape to attach it on top of my lace. So this panel is going to be the left-hand edge of my layout. I have inked the edges of the 2 4-inch by 6-inch green pieces, so not the middle section but the other 3 edges, and I'm going to now attach them to my background of my layout. I'm using my T ruler so that I can get it lined up and nice and straight, because I'm just putting this in the middle of the page without anything to reference it to. Once I have those attached to my page, I then bring in the panel that I created earlier, and I'm going to use double-sided tape to attach that so that it butts up on the left-hand edge of my layout. Next step is to ink the edges of the yellow spot and use double-sided tape to attach that to my layout. I've attached some chipboard scraps to the back of my photo mat so that my photo is slightly risen on my layout. I'm going to go ahead and use my art glitter glue to attach that. I've decided to have an accent colour of the navy, which is the colour that I put behind the lace. So I'm going to paint my chipboard with some navy blue, well it's called Liberty Blue actually, and it's a Duncan acrylic paint. Now this is from my ceramic days, which would be over 25 years ago, so this paint lasts really well. Anyway, I give my chipboard a good coating of the Liberty Blue it's called, but it's basically navy. Once that had dried, I went ahead and used glue to attach it to the left-hand edge of my layout. To embellish my layout, I've gone ahead and used this die, and I don't know what brand it is. I bought it before I felt the need to keep the information on these things. And I cut 9 dies with the green spot and 9 with the yellow stripe. I inked around each part of the die cut and then attached them together. Now there's a little frilly bit that goes along the top. I cut those in the plain yellow, the same card that I used to print my journaling on through my computer. I printed it onto that same yellow card and trimmed that down and ink around the edge of it and then mat it onto a piece of navy cardstock as well. For a few extra embellishments, I also cut from the blue cardstock one of these tickets from Dynamics called Just the Ticket, and one set of the arrows from the KS4U DD501 arrows die. So I plan on putting the pennants across the top of the layout, the little half ticket which I've cut in half on the top, the arrows to the side and my journaling to the bottom. To attach my pennants, I'm just going to run a bead of glue where I want the pennant to go, and then put the first pennant down, lay some glue on top of where the second pennant is going to overlap the first pennant, and work my way across the page like that. There's no real need for you to watch me do that, so I'll do most of it off screen. I'll also use my glue to attach my other embellishments. The front, or the one that's in closest towards the photo of the arrows that are down the side there, I have to mat that on some foam tape because of course the photo's matted on chipboard, and if I didn't it wouldn't sit flat. So I'm going to attach the bottom two with glue, and then the third one will have the foam tape as I said. Also my journaling and title block, that will also be mounted on foam tape. I also printed out the dates of the cruise on the same yellow cardstock, matted it on some blue, the same as I did for my title and journaling, and I'm just going to attach that using glue. It's not going to be risen, and it will be attached under my title. I wanted a bit of the darker colour up the top of the layout, so I'm using this product, another product from my ceramic days. This is called a Scribbles, but it's very similar to the Nuvo drops. So I'm just using, squeezing a little dot onto the top of my pennants, and I'm just putting them at regular intervals along, and that helps bring a little bit of darkness to the top of the page there. I thought it was a bit too light over there on the top right hand edge of the layout. I wanted to add a little bit more shine to my page, so I used my glossy accents and gave a nice even coat over the 3 navy blue arrows. This goes on very milky, but when it dries it is perfectly clear, and you can see that in the stills at the end of the video. Well, that's it for this layout today. I am very glad that you could join me here today, and there will be a link in the description box below to the Craft Supplies for You store. So pop over and check out their store. They've got lots of lovely things over there. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd love it if you would subscribe to my channel. And yeah, I hope you can join me for my next video.